All right, so a couple of things here, guys, we need to go through in regards to what's going to go on in this class. Obviously, the first and most important thing, okay, and you probably heard this last semester and you hear it in every single class today. You want to be successful, you have to be here. Okay, if you are missing class, okay, you're missing valuable material that can simply not be replicated, okay, in any way other than being here in the classroom. Right? So you do need to be here. Okay? If you are absent, you, not me, are responsible for any material that you miss, including assignments, labs, and projects. Okay? We'll talk about how you're going to use the podcast, that's the stuff that's going on YouTube, okay, and Google Classroom, as well as my website to stay up to date when you are missing. Okay? Make no mistake, guys, if you're going on holidays for a week or two, wonderful for you. We're all still here, and we're all still moving on. So you'd best be following along, or you're going to find yourself very far behind when you get back. Okay? I expect that if you are not here, you watch the podcast on YouTube for that day before you come back. Okay? Is everybody with me there? If we did a lab, that lab is due the same day for you as it is for everybody else. Okay? No exceptions on that either. You can get all the data you need, you can listen to what we did, okay, and be able to do the lab report whether you were here or not. Okay, so just understand that's the expectation. Okay, attendance is important. All right, so lates. Class begins when the bell goes. Okay, the door will be shut. When the bell goes, I shut the door. Wait outside if you are not inside by that time. Okay, stand by the window so that I can see you. Okay, and as soon as it is not an interruption to what I'm doing, I will let you in. Right? That's not going to be usually more than about 5 minutes or so. Okay, but I just don't want the interruption while I'm getting things going. Okay, so just wait out there and then I'll come and get you. Please don't knock. That's the worst disruption, and it's going to take me that 5 minutes to get everybody's attention back. Okay, so just wait quietly out there and I will come and get you. Best thing to do is to be on time. Okay. If you guys know ahead of time that you're going to be absent, okay, you can let me know that and you can ask for some stuff ahead of time, but most of the time my answer will be, while you're away, make sure you're getting the stuff you need off of my website, watching the podcast. It's going to be kind of a standard answer for what do I do if I'm not here, okay? Everyone follow me on that part? Okay. All right, one of the resources that you're going to have here, guys, okay, is my website, okay, just to give you a look at what that looks like, okay. Okay, this is what it looks like. So when you come onto the home page for that, you're going to find a couple of things. You're going to find a link that takes you to Google Classroom, which we'll talk a little bit about today. You'll find a calendar here that will have all of the due dates on it. Okay, so anytime I assign something in class, there'll be a due date on Google Classroom, there'll be a due date on my website, and there'll be a due date right up here on the board the old-fashioned way. All right, 3 places to look if you wonder when something is due. All right, and then there's over here on the right-hand side, okay, we've got links to take you to either my Science 10 channel, which is the one you guys are obviously going to use, okay, or the Physics 20 one, which you're not going to use, okay, and then my email address is down there at the bottom above my picture there, okay, so you can access that, okay, if you need to email me. If you're emailing me about something the night before it's due at 10:30, expect no reply. Okay, because, yeah, I'm probably asleep. I'm old and I need my sleep. Okay, so yeah, don't be emailing me then. All right, the stuff you're going to need is in here under Science 10 stuff appropriately. Okay, if you click on that link there, okay, it'll take you here and you'll see the insignia. There's also a link to the YouTube page where you can watch, okay, all of the podcasts. Obviously right now it's blank because there aren't any. Okay, and then in here you'll see down below there's files, okay, and these are all the things that you might need if you were to say lose something or be absent or whatever. Okay, so there's the document here that talks about completing and submitting assignments. There's the package you just got, Science 10 Day 1 package. Okay, there's a final exam review on there from last semester I didn't take off. Okay, the notes package that you need, you might want to write that down. Okay, you can do this one in a couple of ways. Okay, a lot of people just print it off. That's fine. Go right ahead and do that if you like killing trees and want paper. Okay. The other way is that if you have a tablet or you have a laptop that you don't mind bringing to class, I'm not saying you have to have one because you absolutely do not. Okay, but if you have one of those, you can download that file and you can write right on it on your tablet. There's a number of apps that will allow you to do that, and you can just use that as your notes package all the way through the semester. Okay, I'm not going to be printing it for each and every one of you. However, it's about 60 some pages. Okay, so it's up to you guys to print that. I'm trying to save some trees by encouraging you to do that other ways. Okay, I did have a few people who tried to do this on their phone last semester, and while that works in an emergency, it's pretty hard to be looking at your phone and seeing what I'm doing up front and squinting and looking all class long, and most of them found that that didn't work very well for them. Okay, but it does work in an emergency. So by Monday, everyone should have that notes package in either an electronic or printed form ready to go. Okay, so make sure you get that. All right, the other things that are on here, okay, organized by units, okay. So we got the chemistry unit, the biology unit, whatever. If you click on the little arrows, it expands that, and you'll see that in every single folder, every lesson is in there. Okay, if you click on one of those, it'll open up either like a PowerPoint file, okay, or a worksheet or something along those lines. Okay, the keys for most of my worksheets are also in there. Okay, so you can, if you're doing them at home, you can check and see if you've got the right answer. Okay, or in doing them in class, you can use that to check the right answers. So you'll be using this website a lot. Okay, so I would say it's probably not a bad idea for you to punch in the URL that's on your sheet there right now into your phone and put it in your favorites. Okay, you're going to be using it that often. Okay, you don't have to tell your friends that you favorited Mr. Quitter's site. I know that's not cool. Okay, but you should probably do it. Okay, I don't mind if you have your phone out in class. Shocking, right? Because it's a tool and you're going to use it a lot. All right, so you might want to take that out right now. Just punch that URL in real quick, okay, and put it in your favorites. Okay, questions about that? Questions about the website? Okay, so like I said, you're going to be using that an awful lot, and you can access that, guys, directly from the school website as well. Okay. So if you have the HTA website bookmarked on there. Okay, so if you have the HTA website on there and you go to teacher web pages, okay, mine's in there right here. Yeah, if you click on that, it'll take you to the same spot. Okay, either way. All right. All right, so obviously the website's a big deal. Okay, you're going to be using that quite often. Okay, Google Classroom is another thing. How many people have used Google Classroom before? Anyone use it first semester? It only came out in August, so there's not that many of us that are using it yet, but it's awesome. Okay, here's why it's awesome. You can never lose your stuff. Okay, you can absolutely never lose your stuff. Okay, and you never have that problem where you waited till the night before, which you shouldn't do. Okay, but you waited till the night before to get something done, and your printer quit. Well, it doesn't matter. You're not going to hand very much stuff in on paper to me. Okay, almost everything that you hand in, you're going to submit electronically. Okay, I'm not a tree hugger, but I'd like saving trees if I can. Okay, so we're going to save a lot of trees. We're not going to have, okay, a lot of stuff. I don't even know why I have these hand-in boxes on this table at the front. We hardly ever use them. All right, so almost everything is going to be submitted electronically through Google Classroom. Okay, I'll show you kind of quickly what that looks like as well. Okay, Google Classroom. Okay, it's not all that visually appealing, but at least from my end of it, it's not. This is what I see from my end. Okay, from the student end, okay, you would go to Google Classroom and it'll look something like this. If you punch that in, you can actually do this right now. Okay, so if you got your phone, you can just punch this in right now. Okay, so it's, okay, just punch in the URL there, okay, classroom.google.com, and it'll take you to this page. Okay. Oh, incidentally, this works a lot better if you are using Chrome as your browser. If you're using Safari or whatever the Android use. Okay, I think they use Chrome actually, but okay, it works a lot better if you're in Chrome. And you use your username and ID, the one that's your first name, your last name at Isidore, kind of like what this one's showing here. Okay, at isidore.redeemer, that's what you use to log in with. All right, with your whatever you use to log in, whatever your password has been all semester long, that's what you use for this. Okay, if it's not working for you right now, don't worry. We're going to spend Tuesday doing this, but if it is working for you, I'll just kind of show you what it looks like real quick. Okay, so if you want to join a class, okay, you just press the plus button and you put in the join code. For you guys, that's this one here. All right. Okay, and so once you've joined, then you'll see this. Right now, everything is pretty much blank because we haven't done anything yet. All right, but what will happen every day in the announcements in the stream here, okay, there'll be an announcement that says, here's what we did today. Here's a link to today's podcast, and if there was a worksheet or a lab or anything like that, all of that stuff will appear in there as well. Anytime I give you an assignment, it'll appear in here, and you'll be able to access it and complete it through this website. Okay, it's really, really slick, right? And it works even on your phone. Okay, so yeah, you're always going to be able to finish stuff, right? So you'll never have to have that panicky feeling. Okay, especially the one where you show up that day, you've got it all done, and you left it at home. You never have to worry about that now, because you'll always have it, because it's always in your Google account, and you can just come in and go, oh, I forgot to do that, and just submit it electronically, done. Okay, so you never have to worry about losing stuff. Okay, it eliminates a lot of stress for everybody. All right, so that's another thing that you'll be using in there. Like I say, right now there isn't much in there because we just started. Okay. All right, and then the podcasts. Okay, my YouTube channel, okay, is Codair Science 10. You're going to want to subscribe to that. Okay, I know again that probably isn't cool for your friends or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Okay, because you're going to use it. Okay, and you're going to use it a fair amount. So anytime we have a lesson, okay, it'll get posted on here, okay, and you'll be able to watch it if you needed to, or you were sick, or whatever, or you just want to review something. It's always a good idea, especially when we're going over things like, how to do a certain type of problem in physics, or how to balance chemical equations in chemistry, or whatever. Those are things you might want to see the examples I did again, okay? Well, you can watch them again. You don't have to watch the whole thing. You can just go over the parts you want to see. Right? It's pretty handy that way, and a lot of people take advantage of it, especially when they're doing their lab reports. Okay? Because when we do the lab, I basically stand at the front and go, here's what you need to do for this part, here's what you need to do for this part, and I tell you what to do, and I record it. So when you're putting your lab report together, would it be a good idea to listen to that? Okay? Ask anybody who took my class first semester. Okay? If you wanted to get a really good mark on the lab, you just listened to the podcast while you were doing the lab. Okay, you really couldn't go wrong then, because I essentially gave the answers away. Not really, but essentially. Okay, that's what I do. So, okay, it's going to be pretty useful there too. All right, so if you go to YouTube, it's just open up the app in your phone and subscribe to it. Okay, that's probably the best way to do it. Okay, and you can see when you first get to it, okay, on the top here is current podcasts. That's where you're going to go most of the time. Okay, right now there's only one unit up, just so that there was something there. Okay, there's one lesson in it, or 2 lessons in it, which I'll delete later. Okay, but that's where everything will show up. When we get into Unit 2, another playlist will show up entitled Unit 2 Biology, and then Unit 3 Physics, and they'll just start showing up as we start each unit. All right, you guys have all used YouTube before, right? Okay, so you know how playlists work and all that. Okay. Yeah, that should take care of that part. Okay. All right, so that takes care of 2.1 and 2.2. Okay. Okay, each day, like I said, I'll post the day's activities, a link to the podcast, developments, etc. Okay. In the post, I'll also include links to lab data, etc. Okay. I also post quizzes on there ahead of time. In this class, you're going to have a quiz every Tuesday and every Thursday, unless I tell you otherwise. Okay? And on Monday night and Wednesday night, I put the quiz for the next day up so that you can look at it, and you can see the questions, and you can do them, or look up the answers, or whatever, and then show up the next day and get 100%. That's not cheating. I'm the one giving you the questions ahead of time. As long as you look them up, you can't go wrong. Okay, so take advantage of that as well. You're going to want to be referring back to Google Classroom, especially on Monday nights and Wednesday nights, to get those quizzes. Okay, just open them up. Takes you like 5-10 minutes tops to do them. Okay, and then the next day you come in, you get 100%. Here's the good news on that. A, you get 100%. There's more good news. The questions I put on the quizzes are just like the questions I put on the unit exams. So if you can learn how to do them on the quizzes, you'll do just fine on the unit exams as well. Okay? Now, it takes 5 or 10 minutes of your time on Monday night and Wednesday night in order for that to happen. Is that a fair trade? Okay. All right. Now, for 2.4 here, okay, it's a fair amount of work for me to make these resources available to you. Okay, I don't mind that work because I think it's important for to give you all these resources to enable you to be successful. Okay, however, the one question I never want to be asked is, Mr. Quadair, what did I miss? My answer will be a lot. And that's all. Okay? Because you should come back to my class after being absent and know what you missed. Because you've already watched the podcast, and you've already got all the stuff off the website. Okay? So don't come to me and say, what did I miss? Everybody with me there? All right. Okay. Classroom, any questions on that stuff there, guys? Okay. All right, so classroom behavioral norms, obviously respect is the most important thing, okay? I will always respect you, okay? I will not do things that might embarrass you or humiliate you or otherwise make you uncomfortable in my class. At least I will certainly try not to. It might happen by accident, but okay, I will certainly not do it on purpose, okay? And I expect the same in return, okay? And I expect you to treat your classmates with respect as well, okay? So none of that bullying crap that goes on, okay? Because we tend to find out about that kind of stuff. We want everyone to feel safe, included, and welcome, okay, while they are here. All right, when I say listen up, okay, that's your cue, then I need your attention quickly, okay? So when you hear that, I expect eyes forward and ears free of whatever device you had in them previously, okay? The one thing I can't stand is when people have one earphone in and they're not paying attention to me. Okay, because I know you all say, well, I'm multitasking. Bull. Okay, no one multitasks. Okay, it's impossible. Multitasking is doing many things poorly, okay, instead of one thing well. All right, so when I'm talking, I expect that your ears are both open, and so are your eyes, okay, and you're paying close attention. If I have trouble getting your attention with listen up, okay, then I will make a more pointed way, I'll find a pointed way of getting your attention, okay, which usually involves me asking you to leave until I can come out and talk to you in the hallway when I'll have your full and undivided attention. Okay, so when I say listen up, I want your attention right away. Okay, everybody with me there? All right. Now, work assigned in class. I am never going to give you busy work. Okay, I just don't do that. Okay, I know that some people, they've had that teacher who assigned busy work, and then when they came up to ask a question, they were on Facebook on their computer. That's not me. Okay, I don't do that. That's not right. That's not what I'm going to do here. Okay, if I assign you something to do in class, whether it's a worksheet or a lab report or something like that, okay, that stuff is designed to help you learn the material. And if you need help, you come and ask. Okay, that's what I'm here for. All right, so come up and ask me questions. All right. I expect all of the work I give you to be completed, whether it's coming in for marks or not. Okay, so if I give you a worksheet, worksheets never come in for marks. Okay, so if you have a sheet of paper in front of you from me and it says worksheet on it, that's not coming in for marks. But that's the stuff you need to know how to do in order to do well on a lab report, to do well on a unit exam, to do well on a quiz. Okay, so that's your way of having some time to practice that with me here to help you. All right, so I expect that those get done. Okay, obviously some stuff is going to come in for marks. You're going to have lab reports, several of them for each unit. Okay, you're going to have assignments. You're going to have your a few projects here and there, not many. Okay, those are things that you probably won't get done in class. You'll get them mostly done in class, but they're going to mean a little bit of homework for you. Okay, if it's coming in for marks, it's got to get done. Okay, because if you're not handing it in, what are you getting on it? Okay, you get an NHI, which counts as a 0. All right, it's got to be done. Okay, those are learning activities that are not only helping you learn something, but they're also assessing something. Okay, and if you're not getting those marks, okay, it's going to go bad for you in a hurry. All right, so if you are not getting your stuff done. Okay? What I call first level of intervention is the nagging. Okay? First I nag you. And I say, hey, how come you didn't get that done? How come I don't have your lab report? Okay, what's going on? Did you just forget? Okay, is it like 90% done? What's going on? So I nag you for a couple days. Okay, if the nagging doesn't work, then you are put in jail. Okay, in jail means you spend scheduled help and lunch hour with me until said late assignments are completed. Okay, one way or another, assignments get completed. It's a lot easier if you just do them on your own. Then we can both have our lunch hours to ourselves. Okay, everybody with me there? Okay, and usually, guys, if I have to put you in jail, I have to tell your parents I'm putting you in jail, and they don't usually like hearing that. Okay, when I call home and say little Johnny hasn't got his work done, okay, almost without exception, I hear, oh, I'll get right on that. Okay, or I'm having trouble, little Johnny's struggling here, he's not getting his work done. What can I do to help? Parents are very, very helpful. You don't want them to be helpful. Okay, that's going to mean like 4 gray walls at home and probably no car keys. Okay, well, maybe you don't drive yet, but you will, and you're going to want those keys. Okay, things like that will disappear. So make sure you're getting your work done on time. Okay, one other thing here, guys. Should you achieve a mark of less than 50% on a unit exam, and this doesn't happen very often, it is a very rare occurrence. Okay, but if it does, okay, you will be asked, and you can see there that asked in both places is bold-faced, italicized, and underlined. That means forcefully drug in by the scruff of your neck at lunch to complete an alternate assignments. Okay, I don't do rewrites. Okay, there are no rewrites in this class. Okay, with all the resources and all the opportunities you have to come see me for help, you will never need one. All right, thus you will never get one. Okay, so there are no rewrites in here. Okay, this is real life. Okay, if you're a brain surgeon and you screw up, okay, somebody dies. You don't get a rewrite on brain surgery. Okay, things like that, right? If you're a rocket scientist and the space shuttle blows up, you don't get a rewrite on that. Okay, real life doesn't have rewrites. Okay, so just be aware there, guys, that those kind of opportunities are also available. I know they don't seem like an opportunity, but they are. Okay. Fairness versus equality. Okay, I'll always try to be fair to everybody. That doesn't mean that everyone gets treated equally. Believe it or not, those two things don't always go hand in hand. Okay, sometimes certainly there are special circumstances. I understand that. Okay, I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, I had there was a lab due or an assignment due. I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, 2 kids came up to my desk. And they both didn't have it done, and I said, okay, well, why don't you have it done? And the first kid, to his credit, was brutally honest with me. The season finale of my favorite TV show was on last night. I watched it. I didn't do the homework. Like, well, that was kind of a poor decision, and you had a whole week to do it before last night, but okay, I understand. You didn't get it done. Thanks for being honest. Get it done. You're going to take the late penalty. Okay? And he did. The other girl who came up, she looked like she would have to get better to die. She looked horrible. Okay, like bags under her eyes, like hadn't slept, hair all a frizzle. Okay, and I said, "Are you okay?" first, because she didn't look well, and she said, "Not really." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what's wrong? Why don't I have my homework done?" I said, "Obviously you don't. She said, you look terrible." "Yeah, well, my parents had this huge fight, and they stormed out of the house, and I was left to look after my 3 little brothers, and I had to make dinner for them, and I didn't cook the chicken enough, and we all threw up all night." I'm like, all right, first I have to be a little bit of a jerk, and I have to say if you hadn't left it till the night before to do, that wouldn't have happened. Then I said, okay, I understand. That's kind of an extenuating circumstance. And I let her have 1 more day to finish it. Okay? It's not very often, guys, that I'll give an extension. Okay? You can always ask, but it's not very often I'm going to give one. Okay? Now, I would hope you have enough respect for me to not come up and try your hand at Academy Award-winning acting. Okay? You know, come up and complete with tears, give me some lie story about how your dog died or something. Okay, I hope that you have a little more respect for me than that. But okay, just understand, I usually give you plenty of time to get stuff done. Don't leave it for the night before. That's when disaster happens, right? That's when your internet goes down, your computer blows up, whatever. Okay, so just don't leave it for the night before. Okay, so that's fairness versus equality. I didn't treat them equally. They didn't both get an extension, but I think I was fair in that situation. Okay, so if you ever feel I haven't treated you fairly, please come and talk to me. Okay, I try to be pretty fair. All right, 3.5 is about accountability. High school is the start of real life, so due dates and timelines are part of your reality. So you are expected and required to hand in material on time and be responsible for your actions. Okay, I give plenty of time for assignments to be completed. You may want to write this down. You will never have a turnaround of less than 2 school days, ever. Okay? I never make anything due the next day. Unless we all got it done in class that day, then I might. Okay, but in general, anything that you didn't get done is not going to be due the next day. Minimum is 2 school days. Most of the time that means like 4 days, okay, because usually you got a weekend in there somewhere. I don't count those. Those aren't school days. 2 school days is the minimum turnaround. That way, you not only have time to manage around your other commitments, maybe you play school sports or hockey or you got a part-time job or whatever, you got time to work around those things and find time to get it done. And secondly, you have time to come and ask me for help if you need it. Okay? When can you come and ask me for help? Is there a time built in during the day? What do we call that? Scheduled help. You can come and see me in scheduled help. Absolutely. Okay? Also, I have no life. Okay? See, the first step in getting over a problem is admitting you have it. I have no life. Okay? I'm a nerd. All right? You can come and see me at lunch any day of the week. Okay? I'm always in here at lunch too. So if scheduled help was too busy and you didn't get to me, come and ask me something at lunch. Okay? If you're too shy, come and ask me at lunch, and your friends don't have to know. Okay? That's fine. Come and see me. I'm always ready to help. Okay? If you're at home and you got a question, you can email me. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna promise those emails will always get answered. When I go home from work, I'm spending time with my family and doing things. I coach basketball, I coach track and field. I don't always get to all of my emails, but I usually see them. Okay? So you can try that, but the best way is to come scheduled help or at lunch if you need help. Okay? And guys, if it's on a lab or an assignment, come in and ask. Okay? I want to make sure you know how to do that stuff and that you learn the material. So take advantage of it. Okay. So that's plenty of time to get assignments completed. So like I said, there's very few excuses I'll accept for not handing in material on time. Okay? In real life, you have to be on time and you have to get your work done. Okay. Section 4 has to do with assessment and evaluation. So it has to do with your marks. Okay? The first thing is that I'm not going to discuss your mark in class with you in front of 29 other people. Okay? It's just not fair to you. It's also not fair to me. Okay? Because we both will be a bit defensive and know that we have to save face in front of the 29 other people. And unfortunately for you, in that situation, I always win. Okay? So if you have a question about a mark, like let's say you get your lab back and you're like, oh man, I worked really hard on this and I did terrible. I don't think that's fair. Okay, come and ask me after class. See, Mr. Cutter, I just don't know where I went wrong. Most of the time you're going to know where you went wrong because when I hand something back, we go through it. Okay, we go through every single bit of it, right, in class together. But if you still have questions, then come and ask after class. Say, Mr. Cutter, what you said seems a lot like what I said here. How come I didn't get as many marks? I'm fine to explain that to you. That's no problem. Okay. Just don't do it in front of the rest of the class. Okay? I've had a kid who once came up in front of everybody, came up to my desk and went, Coder, this mark sucks. And everyone's eyes are like saucers in the class, including mine. And I looked at him and I said, you're right. It does. Sit down. Okay? I'm just not going to be very reasonable if you're not very reasonable. Okay? So come in and be civilized with me, and I'll be civilized with you. Okay? Okay, your marks will be distributed according to the syllabus. Okay? We'll go over those here in just a minute. Okay, 4.3 is pretty important. Okay? Assignments and labs will be handed in on time. What is on time? Okay? They are on time if they are in at the start of class on the due date. Okay, through Google Classroom, that's really easy for me to enforce because I just put in that the due date is February 4th at 8:45. Okay, if it's not in then, the computer tells me it's late. Okay, if you submit it after that time, so it's pretty easy for me to tell. Okay, if they are not in, the late penalty is 25%. Okay, and that's flat rate. Okay, I don't keep track. It's not 25% a day. I don't have time to keep track of how many days late your stuff is. Okay, for me, there's no gray area on time and late. That's like living and dead. You're one or the other. Okay, so make sure you get stuff in on time to me. Okay, the reason I enforce that so hard is, well, there's a couple of reasons. First off, I hate when I see people scribbling away while I'm teaching something new and they're missing it all because they're doing something they should have had done a week ago. Okay? Then you miss stuff. The second reason is you get back your stuff from me the next day all of the time. Okay? In my teaching career, 15 years, there has been one time where I have not handed something back the next day. And that was because my second son was born, and I think I get an excuse on that one. Okay? We were in the hospital and my second son was born. So yeah, I didn't get him back the next day, but I got him in the day after that. Okay? So your turnaround from me is one day. Okay? You hand something in to me on Tuesday, you're getting it back on Wednesday. Okay? And we're going over it as a class. Okay? That's why it's 25% and that's why it's immediate. Right? It's just once I've handed it back and gone over the whole thing, if you hand it in after that, I don't know whether you sat there and took notes and wrote down all the right answers or whether you really knew the stuff. Okay, so it's a 25% late penalty right away. Okay, it's important to get things in on time because otherwise you'll miss out on the learning experience of us going over it all. All right, everybody with me on that one? Okay, so just be aware. Okay, that's an expectation. If you were absent, well, if we're submitting stuff electronically, do you have to be here to hand stuff in? No. Now, if you're in a coma, yeah, okay. You probably can't hand stuff in. Yeah, okay. If you're in the hospital or whatever, something like that, okay. Those are extenuating circumstances, all right? But generally, if you're home because you got, a sore throat or whatever, you can still press the submit button on your computer, okay, and get that kind of stuff in. All right, and like we said here, all assignments and labs are due at start of class on the due dates, okay? And that's the only time that assignments are accepted. Really now with most of it being electronic, there's not the issue of, trying to find me to hand in paper, all right? So that's really not going to be much of an issue. And there's one or two things that you might hand in on paper to me throughout the year. If you don't get it in the box on time, please don't slide it under the door. Okay, like you got it done at like 3:45, and I wasn't, I was coaching basketball, so you threw it under the door because the janitor just pick up everything that's on the floor and throw it in the garbage. Okay. Also, don't give it to Nancy to have it put in my mailbox. Okay. You probably haven't been in the staff room, but our mailboxes are not exactly Canada Post. Okay, like they're about this big. Okay, and they're stacked right on top of each other. I continually get Crawford and Clay's mail, and they, I assume, get mine. Our agreement is throw it away if it doesn't belong to you. Okay, so don't have it put in the mailbox. Bring it to me. Okay, always make sure that I actually take your assignments if you're handing it in on paper. Again, that's not going to be much of an issue because there's only about 3 things you're going to hand in on paper the whole semester long. Okay, the rest will be electronic. All right, questions on any of that? Okay, good. All right, so to give you some idea of what we're going to do in this course. Okay, there's 4 units. Okay, first one is energy and matter and chemical change. I like to call that chemistry. Okay, because that's what it is. They always have a fancy name for everything at Alberta Learning. All right, so in there we'll talk about chemical substances being meeting human needs. We'll look at naming ionic and molecular compounds, which you did a little bit in Science 9, so that'll be kind of review. Okay, we'll look at evidence of chemical change, physical and chemical changes, which again should be a little bit of review, but we build on it. Okay, writing and balancing chemical equations. Okay. That can be a little bit tricky, but okay, to just take some practice. Law of conservation of mass and the mole concept, okay, are all things that we do. The mole concept does involve a little bit of math, okay. Unit 2, okay, is cycling of matter in living systems. I call that biology. Okay, we go over things like the cell, parts of the cell theory, transport within the cell, okay, things like that. And then we look at multicellular organisms from basically the same perspective. How do they transport materials? Surface area to volume ratio, growth and development, and all that kind of stuff. We generally just look at plants in Science 10. If you're looking to do dissections, you got to take Bio 20. Okay, we don't do any dissections in Science 10. Okay, Unit 3, energy flow and technological systems, physics. okay, is what we do there. All right, we look at the forms of energy and how they convert from one to another. We look at technology, how it's developed using science. Okay, we look at one-dimensional motion, so things like things traveling at a constant speed, things that are accelerating. We look at graphing. Okay, graphing is a huge part of that unit as well. Okay, mechanical energy conversions and work. Okay, the work energy theorem is probably the most important concept in high school science. Okay, we take that in that unit. And then for the fourth unit is really, really short. Okay, last semester it took us 9 days to finish. I have finished it in as little as 4. Okay, so if we get pressed for time, that's the unit that gets shortened. All right, we look at basically global stuff. Okay, how does energy affect global systems, biomes and things like that. Yeah, it's a lot of more practical application stuff. Okay, but it's a pretty short unit. All right, your marks distribution. Okay, exams, 4-unit exams. Okay, that's 25% of your mark. Okay, are your 4-unit exams. Your labs, projects, and assignments, all the stuff you do in class, all the stuff you can come in and ask for help on, is 40%, almost half of your final mark. Okay, realistically, you should all be looking to get more than 30 out of those 40%. Okay, if you come in, you use all the resources, you ask for help, there's no reason why you can't expect that. Okay, your quizzes, every Tuesday, every Thursday, that you get ahead of time and should get 100% on every one, are 10% of your mark. You want to get all 10 of that percent, okay? Because that's an easy 10% to get. All right, and your final exam, okay, in June is 25% of your mark. Okay, so the stuff you can get help with is half. Okay, the stuff that's tests is the other half. Okay, questions there? All right, this going green thing we kind of already talked about. Okay, like I said, I'm limiting my photocopying. Make sure you print the notes package this weekend. Okay, or if you're not printing it, and hopefully you're not, okay, that you've got it on your tablet or laptop or whatever it is you're going to use, okay, and bring it along. One of the apps, and this is not a sales pitch for anything, but there are many apps you can find out there that will allow you to actually write on a PDF file, and that's what my notes are. Okay, one of them is called Notability. I think you have to pay for that one. There are a few free versions, but you can actually write, if you have a stylus or even with your finger, directly on my notes package if you have that program, the same you would if you had a printed copy and you were writing in pen. Okay, so it's certainly an option if you want to try that. Okay, something to think about anyway. And don't go home and tell your parents, Ms. Coder said I need to have an iPad, because I did not say that. Okay, if you already have one, they can be a useful tool. Okay, or if you have a laptop or a Chromebook or something like that, okay, a netbook, anything like that will work. Okay, to help you out. But if you want to have pen and paper, lots of people prefer that. Just make sure you print it for Monday. Okay. All right. Other things that usually come up. Can I have food and drink in here? Yes, you can. Okay. If you make a mess, you clean it up, please. Can I have my cell phone in here? Yes, you can. Okay. You're going to use it actually a fair amount with me, but please be responsible with it. If I find that you're texting, Facebooking, whatever else, Snapchatting, whatever, okay, during class, then I'm going to have to take it from you. Okay, I do need your attention, but you guys are 15, 16 years old. Okay, you should be mature enough to know when it's appropriate and when it's not. Okay, can you listen to music in here? There are occasions where yes, you can. Okay, if we're doing some seat work, practicing doing something or whatever on a worksheet, then yes. Okay, I like to have music on when I'm working just because it helps to block out some of the other things that can distract me. Obviously, I can't do that in this form of work because that wouldn't be very effective. Okay, but if you're doing seat work and you want to have them in, that's fine. Okay. What do you need supply-wise for this class? Besides the notes package, a scientific calculator. Okay, it does not need to be a TI-83 or 85 or whatever they're on now. Okay, you don't need to have a graphing calculator. Just a scientific calculator that you could buy, at the dollar store or Walmart or wherever. Okay, you don't need an expensive one, just a scientific one. And then, yeah, your usual pens and pencils, and obviously some loose leaf paper. Okay, yes, there's a notes package, but you're probably going to want to write notes as well. Okay, as we go along. Okay, but for the most part, you won't have to copy too much. Okay. Timeline-wise, for these units here, guys, we should be writing your first unit exam early to mid-March, because we have a week off there in February. So probably mid-March. They're all about a month long except for the last one. Okay? All right, have a good weekend. Make sure you have that notes package in whatever form for Monday, please.